This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we get interrupted and take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your company's not showing up at the top of Google searches, maybe you don't even have an existing website, pixelfiremarketing.com is here to help. They'll ignite your social media presence and entice your ideal client online today. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more information. Joining us in the Pyramid Contractor Studio and patiently waiting his turn to talk is Eric Creech with Lovebound Media. Eric, thanks for being here, man.
No problem. No problem.
I always say this is always just another way for me to talk to my friends
Yeah.
and shoot the breeze with people I enjoy talking to. And you're definitely one of those people. You're really passionate about what you do, and that shines through. What is Lovebound Media, and what are you doing in the Omaha area?
We are a wedding photo video business. We've kind of branched out to a few other things. So we do like some advertising stuff. I've done a few shots for you, as
absolutely.
you know. But
for anybody that's seen our Going Vertical or Bellevue University videos, they were all shot by Eric. So.
Yeah. And but the majority of what we do is weddings. That is probably 99.9% of what we do.
Are you comfortable with that number? Is that what you want to do? Are you happy with the other things that you can do? What does that look like?
So I base our entire growth off of like what our team wants. So
good point.
Our team has supported us all the way through where we started to now. So like every time I ask them, what do you guys want to do? They tell me we want more weddings. So I'm like, well, then we will do more weddings. That is our only goal.
You're right. When we talk about the market for a wedding, there's obviously a lot of people out there, a lot of different options. What sets Lovebound ahead of the curve and aside from your competition? I
actually thought you were going to ask me this, and I did not come up with a good answer.
Okay.
So I will be completely transparent. Really, what sets us apart is just that we I feel like we care a little bit more than other businesses, and I feel like every business is going to say that, but we like take it to the next level. So from the start, when we do our first call, I do a lot more asking of like what you're looking for, what your like end goal is. So most other videographers will just be like, you want a videographer, you want a highlight video, you want a film, whatever, and they just check off all the boxes and ask if you're going to sign. We kind of take it much further than that.
Our camera moved. Our camera woman is in here operating it back to the middle for us. Thanks, Angie. Perks of doing things live, folks.
Yes.
You can relate.
Yes.
What is the most commonly asked question somebody has for you? If it's obviously the most important day of their life, what's the most commonly asked question you get from a bride or a wedding party about your services?
About our services specifically?
Yeah.
Probably the most common question actually is like what our style is. And we don't have a set style, believe it or not. So we match whatever style they're looking for. So
that feels like the right move. By the way.
So again, going back on that, a lot of creatives are they're photo video people. I say creatives, but that's kind of like a general term for us. They're very creative in the sense that they are like dead set that this is their style. This is how they want to shoot weddings. Exactly. Yeah. We are not. So like if you want light and airy, we will do light and airy. We have tons of editors that are really good at just mimicking other styles. Mm-hmm. So we have built that so that way we can do that now. So
technology is ever changing.
Yeah.
You've done drone shots for me. You've done live camera shots. You've had to sprint after athletes that run 4.340s.
That was my favorite stuff too, though. I love those.
How do you keep your finger on the pulse of cameras, styles of shooting? Do we need to buy more drones in case Jimmy calls me and has a bigger gym to shoot this time? How do you keep up with things like that?
That's a really good question too. So I will say a lot of it comes down to our team. So some of us are just...
they're in the field, right? I mean, they're out there.
Exactly. So our team does their own stuff aside from shooting for Lovebound, right? Well, some of them do, some of them don't. But they love like what they do so much, and it's such a strong passion that every time we get together and talk, they're like, oh, this new camera's coming out, this new drone's coming out. And they get very excited about it, and that lets me know, because most of my job is the business side, and then I shoot weddings.
Sell it.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, like if it wasn't for them, I would have no information. They just have such a driving passion that they're always up to date on that.
I want to talk about the aspect of having essentially 1099 employees that can go out and do their own thing. I think that's a big struggle for some people, especially in the creative space, because obviously your brand's on their work, but they have the ability to go out and do, so that you said really, you squinted at me. You clearly hadn't thought that way. Why is it a big deal for you to be able to empower people to be able to do that?
So, okay, that question was twofold. So I kind of want to touch on both.
Please.
First of all,
and you thought you were going to be bad at this.
Well, I've done a podcast before, not been a guest though. So that's why I thought I was going to be bad. That question was twofold in the sense that I don't see it in the same way that other people might see it. So like other people see it as my name's on the line, right?
Right.
I have full trust in our team. Like they have, like we vet them
And that's
very
easy
thoroughly.
That's easy for you to do.
As far as vetting
just
them?
have full trust in people like that.
Because I've vetted them so well. These are people that like genuinely.
That's a big struggle for the majority of the people we talk to in this room.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. So, I do multiple interviews. B, I bring them out to weddings where they're like a second shooter for me. So I get to see them work. And then part of our hiring like process is I have them shoot a wedding and I second shoot for them. So I get to see them lead a wedding, which is way more difficult than anything else.
Completely different job.
Exactly. And when things go wrong, you're the one that's first asked, right? So, because of that, I have kind of built this ability to trust them a lot more thoroughly than other people. Also, I spend a lot of time with our team. So like our team aren't random shooters. Like I invite them over to our house for game nights. They're invited to our wedding. Like our own team is shooting our own wedding.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. And then the other question.
Is it going to be easy for you to be hands off that day?
I'm fine with it. My fiance is not.
Not so much.
She wanted to have a GoPro and just hold it during the wedding.
As she's walking out like in her
I was like, no, we're not doing that. And then the other side of that question was like, how do I empower people to do that? Or like,
why is that important for you?
Why is that important?
Yeah.
So when we first started, it was really hard to get into the industry.
Yeah.
We've noticed that our industry is sometimes very cutthroat. So we wanted to create a space where we can.
Episode number 311. You're the first person to say that about your industry.
Really?
Yeah. I've been amazed by it.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So when we first got into the industry, no one wanted to give us information. I was very fortunate that one of my sister's exes was in the industry already.
Shout out to that guy.
Yeah, for real. I don't want to drop names because that might be awkward. But
sure.
Yes, no, he was amazing, was willing to teach me. And then from there, we were able to kind of grow our own stuff.
Did you always want to do weddings? Was that the thought behind it? I mean, when you get a camera and fall in love with the video editing portion of it, was that where you wanted to go?
That's a really good question too. A lot of my passion was driven by Abby. So that's my fiance.
Yep.
Really, when we first started, she wanted to do weddings. She wanted to do wedding photography, and I just wanted her to be happy in what she did. And
Your marriage is going to last, brother.
I also really enjoyed business. So I kind of took the business side and just helped her grow her company. And then from there, I realized there was a lot more passion that I had in the creative side as well. So I took on the video side to be able to work with her a lot more closely, if that makes sense. So we can bundle photo video.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that hard for her to accept?
She, at first, yes. So
for creative people, it usually is. Yeah, that's why I asked.
Yes. So she did not like the side of, first of all, there was a lot of things. First of all, she doesn't like advertising. She doesn't believe in spending money to make more money.
It's a bad take.
It really was. And it stunted our growth for our first year.
Check out pixelfiremarketing.com if you need help. Yeah.
After the first year, then I had kind of like separated. We were 50-50 partners. I separated, started Lovebound. And then that's when like I obviously had full rights to just do whatever I wanted.
She saw the money train start moving.
She saw it and then she was like, okay, I'm joining Lovebound.
It's not going so fast. Exactly. I can still jump on there.
Yeah. So that's kind of what like steered that. But yeah.
And you're the fourth person in 4 days to bring up the market. We don't pay them to say that, by the way. This is happening organically.
When do I get that check, by the way?
We're catching up with Eric Creech from Lovebound Media here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to talk about the wedding market itself because kind of like in theory it's only a couple months out of the year, but we're seeing weddings kind of expand into the November and December months. How do you manage having a team, having a company where certain parts of the year it's bang, 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 bang. We got 3 weddings in 3 days versus we might not have 1 wedding in 3 weeks. How do you do that as a business owner?
Yeah, that one's hard. So that is probably where I struggle the most with our team. I want to get them jobs year round because they also like obviously they want to do this for a living themselves as well.
Right.
So we put a lot of effort into booking as many weddings as possible and then helping them kind of put that money away. Just like letting them know this is how much I would recommend putting away, which really I'm not allowed to tell them what to do with their money.
Right. Make helpful suggestions.
Exactly. So then on my end, I put probably 50% of what we make in our really busy months. I put that away for Abby and I.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, I mean, that gets us through the dead season, which our dead season is like December, January, February. No weddings, almost no weddings every year. But then
it gets cold here.
Yeah. But then September through October is like, we probably make 50% of our income in those months. It's crazy.
You were here for 4 minutes and you already judged me on my video editing / turning on camera ability.
And the backdrop.
And the backdrop. Screw you, first of all. Secondly, you brought up a previous guest in Brittany McLaughlin with a view.
Yeah.
What part of your business or maybe your time do you spend building relationships with people that sell suits or wedding dresses?
Yeah.
Bakers, venue holders, things like that. Is that a big part of what you guys do?
Yes. So at first, I really didn't believe in networking so much. And I know that
Also a bad
sounds
take.
crazy. Yeah. No. That was on me.
Yeah.
So I believed that, like, truthfully, if you put the dollar in the right place, like as far as advertising, it would just prosper. So there was no point in networking because I thought networking was very small scale.
Not in this city.
No, I completely agree.
I agree with that. Wholesale in Omaha, it's a huge benefit.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So that was my original take. That took me a while to get over. And then I obviously met you through a networking group. So clearly I got over
worked.
that.
Yeah.
So then as I started kind of putting more effort into that, I realized that there was value there. And then I kind of pushed that a lot further. So I would say most of what I do other than shooting weddings and consultation calls is networking with other vendors. So Brittany, I actually know Brittany. We met at one of her bridal fairs. She does a vendor.
There's a lot of those in this town.
So I don't know if you know this, but A View has a very strict policy on who they invite to their vendor night, which is their,
She brought that up.
Yeah. So we were one of the people they invited,
Very
and we
cool.
had no clue why we were invited until we got there. I met her, and she was like, "We absolutely loved your work. You guys did amazing." So that helped.
That's the ultimate pat on the back, right? It's like, hey, there's no bias to this. They just saw what we did and they loved it.
Exactly.
Where does your passion come from for other people's big day? Like to do this and do it well.
Yeah.
You have to care about that. Why is that a big deal for you?
Gosh. So.
Because you've never been married yet.
Yes. And I'm actually going to give a little bit of backstory that most people actually don't know this. Growing up, my parents never got married.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So because of that, I always had the belief that marriage was just a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby tried really hard to change my mind on that.
Clearly it worked.
Yes, it did. It did. And then it wasn't until I started doing this as a job that then I realized that, like, how meaningful of a day it was.
Yeah.
And when you see people on the, like, best day of their life, like, always excited, like, super nervous, you help them work through those emotions and, like, have a good time, it really changes your perspective. I guess not many people come with that perspective in the first place, but that was my strong
to make a buck.
Exactly. So then that led to me really loving weddings.
Well, and I want to turn to the business portion side because you mentioned that's kind of where your thumbprint's at on this business. We've had a conversation about this recently privately that videoing is expensive and it can be, right? And how many people are willing to, how many people come into a conversation with a photo and a videographer and understand pricing isn't exactly the same for those two things?
Ooh, okay. That's so we do things differently. So
you let them know up front, basically?
Well, yeah, we talk about pricing up front. So first of all, pricing is on our site. Like, you can go to our site. And,
website is
loveboundmedia.com. Yeah.
Shameless plug, go ahead.
Thank you. But yeah, pricing's on the site. So anybody can go there and just look at our pricing, which is, it was a big change that we made. And I mean, the industry doesn't believe in that. So it's very different. We also do something differently with our pricing structure for weddings. Photo and video are the same.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's completely different. First, for the record, I take a loss on the video side. Like,
sure, that was going to be my next question.
I really do. So on the photo side, I make a profit. On the video side, I take a loss.
Sure.
But I thought it made more sense while we're trying to, like, scale. And when other people look at it, like, we were just at a bridal fair, and one of the couples came by and they saw our pricing structure And they were explaining that no one else does that, but it makes more sense to them because from their point of view, they think they are the same.
Sure.
They don't see it as different. So
because you're paying one person, so it's got to be the same thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really hard to argue that point of like video is harder because we have a lot more time editing. We also have to pay a lot more in gear. But then like describing that to a client didn't make sense to us. So we were just like, well, we'll set them at the same price. I will take a loss. But when they book the bundle, that's when I make a profit. So it's like,
it's give and take, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What is the most unique event you've ever shot?
We shot an Indian wedding, which was really cool.
It's a lot of dancing.
It was. Yeah. It was a lot of dancing. They flew in people from Chicago to be their band, and then they flew in people from Texas to do the food. It was like
big deal.
It was crazy. I think it was a 2-day wedding, and we ate for like one solid day. Like, I'm not even joking.
Sounds like every Indian wedding I've ever been. I've been to 3, so I hear you.
I also have a rule of I have to try one of everything at every wedding, and when there's like a line of food.
So I got a question. I didn't think about this when I invited you in, but now I got a question. Where do you draw the line between I'm being paid to be here and hey, I'm also at a wedding and there's some shrimp cocktail and cake over there? Is that hard for you to do, or are you just like, I'll just go do it until somebody tells me to stop?
I think so at first you're very nervous. So at first you're like, I don't know if I can take a second to eat or whatever, and you're like really focused on not missing anything. After you've done it for a while, you start to get the rhythm of like how a wedding day flows.
Sure.
And most of the time, no one wants pictures of them with the food in their mouth, right? No one wants a video of them like scarfing down.
That's a great point. So then you can eat at that time.
Exactly. So at that time, we go get food. If for whatever reason they bring out like cake, they'll always do the cake cutting right before the dances. So they do cake cutting, and then we don't get cake normally.
Sure.
So what
I'll
try
with that?
What?
Are you okay with that? Give your videographer cake, people.
Well, we'll sneak off to get cake.
Sure.
It's normally after the dances when the party's starting. And everybody's like really going crazy on the dance floor. We can normally get some shots of that. And then from there, everybody on the dance floor is basically the same people doing the same dance moves. No one has more than 3 dance moves. So you can sneak off to go get cake.
Clearly weren't at my wedding. Cameras on tables. Polaroids. Love them? Hate them? You okay with it?
Personally, I love them.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to do that for our wedding. We really like that idea because it's kind of like a goofy way of like everybody taking their own photos.
I agree. And on its face, that's the case. They never turn out. Just a heads up.
No.
They hire a professional.
They are not as good as obviously photos.
Like you'll just get random blank pictures. Somebody might take it into the bathroom with them.
I think that's the goal, though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On that note, the amount of people that have walked into the bathroom with like our audio gear on them, like for like wedding party members or grooms, we've got some pretty crazy audio.
I bet. I didn't even know that was an option. That's good to know. Okay, so on that note, what are some of the things that Love Bound Media offers that people can expect on their wedding day? We got audio, we got video, we got photos.
We just bought a photo booth, so we now also offer photo booth.
That was a softball question. Let you set the photo booth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we just got a photo booth. We now offer photo booth, but we only offer it when you bundle it with our photo video or bundle it like with photo or video, right? We do not offer photo booth alone yet.
Okay.
We're gonna kind of test the waters, make sure that we're comfortable doing that. We want to make sure that we can do it the best we possibly can before like offering that as a full-on service.
We're catching up with Eric Creech of Love Bound Media here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Where's the furthest you're willing to travel for a wedding?
Currently, anywhere in the U.S. So I think I've already mentioned to you, we're trying to scale geographically.
Yep.
And that has led to, like, I have family in Jersey, and I personally want to see them more. So being able to do weddings over there.
Might be the first guy that says, I want to go to Jersey more often.
Right.
We won't hold that against you.
Well, I don't get to see my sister very often.
Okay. So we'll allow it then.
Yeah. So I get to stay with her for free. So that kind of gives me the excuse to go out there. So we don't charge travel to Jersey. We don't charge travel to Colorado, Kansas City, Iowa. We've also got a lot of connections in all of those places to be able to stay for free. So that has led to us kind of branching out a little bit more. We've not dabbled in the California area yet, but we have dabbled in like the Vegas area.
Some pretty great shots in California from a scenery standpoint. So
that's what I've heard. But Also, the market there is so saturated.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because there's some great shots out in California.
Yes.
What's the Super Bowl? What's the if we could do this, we've made it moment in the video photo game? Because there's something like maybe a number of parties, maybe it's an event you could do.
Gosh. That's a good question. I have not even thought about that as an answer. Truthfully, like if we reach a point where our team is in all 50 states and also booked to where they can do what they want and what they love full time, that's when I'm happy.
Sure.
So, yeah.
What has been the biggest hurdle for you? Is it the off season? Is it the cold weather? What's been the biggest struggle since starting the business?
I think my struggle is probably the same as every other like wedding vendor is like lead gen. And this is going to be more on the business side, so probably less on the wedding side. But like lead gen in our industry is a little difficult just because you have, like you mentioned it, like such a small window of time. Right. So when people start planning their wedding, they normally go for their venue first.
And they can only talk to so many people.
Exactly.
So much time,
Exactly. So they'll go for their venue first. After booking their venue, you have probably 1 to 3 months of a window in their whole life to advertise directly to them and book them as...
Because they're never looking any other time.
Exactly. And then once you book them as a photographer, they'll normally add video and other stuff through that.
Do you enjoy the bridal the
bridal fairs?
Thank you, bridal fairs that happen at like the Chai and around town. Do you enjoy that aspect of the job?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I personally love sales.
Because just because you have to do something doesn't mean you have to like it. So that's why I asked that question.
I think I've kind of reached the point where like everything that I do in our company is something that I like. Because if I didn't like
says a lot.
I hire it out very quickly.
Good call. Okay.
So like video editing, I hate video editing. I think I've expressed this to you
Thank
before.
you, by the way.
It takes so long. Yes. But
I edit every one of these every day, and it's only a half hour. So I hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just because of that, like I hired that out almost immediately when I could, and we just found a great editor, and he kills it. So
what's his name?
His name is Ben.
Shout out to Ben.
He's actually a partner. So him and his wife work together. She like sets up the video for him, and then he tells the story with it. They're so good.
Shout out to Ben and his wife. We just want to make sure we give them some love. You plugged the website already once. Go ahead and do it one more time. Where can people find you?
Loveboundmedia.com/Omaha if you're in Omaha. But yeah.
What is the goal this year, and how do you achieve it? How do you scale in 2025, and how are you going to do that?
So this year, our goal is to, also our, like, obviously when we book weddings, we book it now and then we don't see those weddings until next year normally.
Sure. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we want to this year establish a foundation in 2 other locations. So right now, Omaha, I'm sure you probably know this, but our foundation is pretty strong in Omaha.
Yeah.
So we want to build this strong of a foundation in like Colorado, Kansas City, Iowa. So 3 other locations is kind of the goal. Yeah.
Do you anticipate it being a little more difficult this year because of the big event you have happening in your own personal life?
Yes, yes.
Is that difficult for you?
That
was a big sigh.
A little bit. So I think I kind of like my schedule. I literally live my life by my schedule. I wake up in the morning, look at my schedule.
Stories Coffee on 120th Dutch,
I wake up, look at my schedule, and then at that point, I know what I'm doing for the day. So my wedding day is going to be very similar. I'm going to wake up, have an itinerary, literally, that I'm going to follow, and then from there, the next day, and then the next day, like just move on with my life. We have our honeymoon planned for like the summer because it's way too cold. But because of that, like, my day will continue. It'll just be like one day that I have to book off, which is basically like shooting a wedding. But I will say that planning it has taken a lot of time and a lot of money.
That doesn't change, by the way. Yeah. How much do you like? Have you guys done a destination wedding yet?
We have not.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one of the things you'd like to do?
That's the thing is like most creatives want to do that. We don't. Most creatives are like they have to do destination weddings. That's their biggest goal in life. And it's just not ours. We really just want to see like our team enjoy what they get to do.
Sure.
That's it. Like I'm just genuinely that excited to see our team.
What is one thing you've learned about the wedding industry since you started planning your own wedding that you may not have known before you started?
Everything.
I was literally be surprised if it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, everything. So I will say up until I shot my first wedding and like learned how to shoot weddings, I had been to 2 weddings in my whole life, and one of them was my sister's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're probably involved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think I was just a groomsman, but I might have been I was a bridesmaid technically, or bridesman.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that led to a lot of like.
Man, I've been in a lot of weddings.
Yeah, I have not.
I was just thinking about all the ones that I've been in. It's been probably too many. Stop. Most of the people I know are married. Thank you. I'm over it.
Well, yeah. So that led to me like learning a lot when we first started getting into weddings. Like I didn't know like anything about vendors, didn't know how much anything cost. We actually just did a video on YouTube about like guessing the price of stuff. And for the record, I still don't know what things cost.
Yeah. But I feel like it's ever changing, and that's not really much different than anything else. But I mean, it probably matters time of year, how busy they are on their schedule, how busy they're not on their schedule.
Yep.
And things like that. If somebody is out there getting married and they want to have a conversation other than the website, how can people get a hold of you? Their socials they can follow?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. I would say like our Instagram is just Lovebound Media. Our Facebook is Lovebound Media, and our YouTube's Lovebound Media. So
we'll tag them in all these.
Yeah,
so they will be tagged on their respective platforms. You've criticized my curtain, my lighting, and my turning on my camera ability. Is there anything else you want to mention about the Spotlight Omaha podcast before we get out of here?
Jimmy's awesome.
That's the one we were looking for. If you have a big day coming up, or maybe you're looking to shoot your business or have a different venue that you need some camera and video work done with, get a hold of Eric and his team at loveboundmedia.com/Omaha. Buddy, I appreciate you doing it. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. with a brand new business here in the Omaha area. Thank you for joining us, and we've been brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing, Pyramid Contractors. We'll see you in the morning.